organic, unpredictable, unknown, lovely, beautiful, a sense of fulfillment. This is part of the pleasures of life and not the chores of life.
Coming up on Daily Iowan TV,
we are trying very hard to make sure that an Iowa education is affordable, especially for Iowa students.
University of Iowa President Sally Mason tells you how the State Board of Regents was able to save Iowa students a few bucks this year. And in sports, big weekend on the court and mat for the Hawks. We'll preview it all coming up. That's all coming your way next. Daily Iowan TV starts now.
I'm Tom Brokaw. For more than 100 years now, the University of Iowa community has been waking up to the Daily Iowan. Today, it's the largest newsroom in eastern Iowa. And now you can see the news every night on Daily Iowan TV and get it anytime worldwide at dailyiowan.com.
Good evening and welcome to your Thursday edition of Daily Iowan TV. I'm Emily Bussey. And I'm Allie Wright. Officers from the Iowa City Police Department testified Thursday in the trial of Justin Marshall. The 22-year-old man is on trial for first-degree murder in connection with the death of an Iowa City landlord. John Versift was found dead in October 2009 inside one of his buildings. Officers testified about their actions at the scene of the alleged murder and showed footage from the dashboard camera of one of the officers' cars. Marshall faces life in prison if he is convicted, and the trial will continue Friday morning. Iowa Governor Terry Branstad recently recommended that public universities in Iowa get more funding to extend the ongoing tuition freeze. This means that more money will stay in the pockets of in-state students. Daily Iowan TV's Kelsey Clemmie caught up with UI President Sally Mason today and found out why this freeze may be able to stay in place for longer than just this year.
In the past years, students have seen increase after increase in tuition. However, Governor Branstad's budget proposal with a 2.6 increase for the 3 state universities, including the University of Iowa, would freeze tuition for some students.
I feel good about it because it means tuition not going to go up and it'll save us money.
This is a really exciting thing, obviously. I mean, we haven't froze tuition or even had the possibility of freezing it since the 80s.
The tuition freeze is a win for most students and their parents' checkbooks, but also success for campus administration. Sally Mason proposed the budget request to the Board of Regents last year.
I suggested that, given the cost savings that we've realized over the last several years, the efficiencies, the things that we've done to reduce budget expenses, we were in a good position to be able to freeze tuition for our in-state students.
If the budget passes, in-state residents would see the effect next fall. However, some students will not see their tuition freeze, such as those in graduate programs, from other countries, or even neighboring states.
We are trying very hard to make sure that an Iowa education is affordable, especially for Iowa students. That's who we're here to serve, first and foremost. So that being the primary goal is making certain that we can serve Iowa students as well as we possibly can. That drove the decision.
I'm here with Evelyn Ramirez as she tells us what she thinks about it.
Well, I think for me it would affect me because I'm obviously coming from Illinois, and if the tuition were to increase, it would be more money coming that I would have to put in.
But students won't be sure until the budget is passed if they will see a change. Kelsey Clemmie, Daily Iowan TV.
The Project on Student Debt reported that the average UI graduate in 2011 owed more than $27,000 in student loans. And now for some news outside of Iowa. Officials from the Pentagon decided to lift the ban on women on the front lines Thursday. U.S. Defense Secretary Leon Panetta signed an order allowing women to work at more than 230,000 new posts in a move publicly supported by President Obama. Panetta's announcement does not affect certain military units, such as the Navy SEALs, at least not yet. It will be left up to the individual military service leaders to decide if women are now included in the most intense and demanding military platoons. Still to come on Daily Iowan TV, a UI communications professor has tips after the Manti Te'o hoax to make sure you don't catch a catfish online. And in sports, the voice of the Hawkeyes, Gary Dolphin, lends his wisdom and talks about what the black and gold need to do to secure a win on the road this weekend. But first, we'll turn to Rebecca Swibes for a look at the weather. And Rebecca, it seems like this weekend will be more of the same.
Thanks, guys. And Emily, you're right. It looks like these cold temps will be sticking around for the weekend. Tomorrow morning, it will be a chilly 19 degrees. And look out for some flurries. There will be a 30% chance of snow. In the afternoon, it will warm up to 34 degrees before chilling back down in the evening to 18 degrees. Looking into our extended forecast, it looks like these temps will stay in the low 30s for the rest of the weekend. Monday and Tuesday will bring some warmer temps with highs in the 40s and 50s before dropping down to the low 30s on Wednesday. That's all for me. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks for that, Rebecca. Online dating has become a hot topic recently after details involving a college football player and details about his fake relationship became public last week. Catfishing, the act of using false identities for online communication, is a problem students should be aware of while using social media. Daily Iowan TV's Stefan Duran found out what UI students and faculty think about the controversy and how you can avoid being hoaxed.
Online communication is rapidly growing, and the risks associated with have become stirring topics in the news. For example, football star Manti Te'o was reported to have been dating a non-existent woman online for over a year. Starting these relationships online has become easier with the use of social media, and communication experts say that false identities are just one of the things this form of communication has led to.
I don't think ever before we've seen a medium of communication where you can make such an in-depth quality relationship in such a short time, and being very trusting of that relationship without ever actually seeing the person.
In recent years, America has had some of the most reported cases of catfishing due to over 40 million people using social media for relationship communication. College campuses are target places for hackers because of large dependency on social media sites. But Andrew says with caution, safe relationship communication can still be possible.
Have a foundation to meet that person, to know about them and who they are. If that person does happen to be lying or scamming to you, the more you talk to them, the chances are that you can find an error or an inconsistency in their story.
Some students see how these online relationships could create problems, but feel like they shouldn't cause trouble for the college age group.
Someone to do that is really mean, but someone to believe that it was true, kind of ridiculous altogether.
You don't just put yourself out there for anyone to, come and find you or take advantage of you at all.
Stefan Duran, Daily Iowan TV.
Professor High said students should continue to use caution while using social media sites and encourages them to set privacy settings before engaging in online communication. Now we'll throw it over to our own Annie Costable, who is in the Daily Iowan TV sports studio to preview some of the big Hawkeye athletic contests this weekend. Annie, what can we expect out of the Hawks?
Thanks, Emily, and I can tell you we have a lot to get to in today's lineup, including a chat with friend of the show and voice of the Hawkeyes, Gary Dolphin, and a breakdown of the clash of wrestling titans this weekend as our Hawks take on Minnesota in the Twin Cities. But we start tonight's program by taking a little trip down memory lane. Going into their 20th game of the 2011-2012 campaign, Fran McCaffrey's Iowa Hawkeyes had already knocked off 2 top 15 opponents, picked up 2 conference road wins, and looked poised to make a Cinderella run in the Big Ten. The only problem? The shoe didn't quite fit. The Hawks lost game number 20 on the road to Purdue, going on to lose 5 out of their next 7 contests. Game number 20 for the Hawks this year? You guessed it, back at Purdue. And with the Hawks favored in 3 of their next 5 and only 2 months away from March, Sunday at Mackey may mark the turning point in this season for this year's version of the Black and Gold. Eric Dawn has the preview.
Coming off a tough defeat Tuesday night in Columbus, the Iowa men's basketball team looks to get their Big Ten season back on track as they travel to Purdue Sunday to take on the Boilermakers. Purdue boasts a big front line led by a freshman center of their own, A.J. Hammonds. The 7-foot, 280-pound center averages 10 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 blocks a game for the Boilermakers, who are ranked 11th nationally in rebounds per game. The battle of the boards will be key in this one, as Iowa must limit the second chance opportunities allowed to the Boilermakers in order to have a shot. Purdue does struggle to shoot from the field at times, so limiting these second chance points will really help Iowa rattle the Purdue offense. Iowa will look for Devin Marble to turn it around after struggling against Ohio State, shooting only 2 of 11 from the field. But the good news is, the previous 2 times he's had rough shooting nights against Texas Pan American and Indiana, he's responded the following game with good shooting efforts. Now, what really hurt Iowa against Ohio State was they couldn't make their free throws. Iowa has actually made more free throws than their opponents have attempted this season, but it was their inability to convert these that really was their Achilles heel against Ohio State. They cannot let opportunities at the charity stripe go by if they are to go on the road and beat a Purdue squad.
For more analysis on this weekend's matchup, we turn to voice of the Hawkeyes, Gary Dolphin. And Gary, what do the Hawks need to do well in order to grab a behind enemy lines win come Sunday?
Shoot the ball. Better would be the simplified answer. It was very frustrating the other night. They weren't executing. By that I mean, those are Fran McCaffrey's words, not mine, but they just weren't executing around the perimeter in terms of screens and cuts and things that Iowa needs to do to get open looks. They had enough open shots, but they took 62 shots, which is 10 more than Ohio State, and had 5 less field goals. And so just one of those nights, but still, if they make their free throws, they probably win the game.
Gary, 7-footer Adam Woodbury has struggled to establish himself so far in the Big Ten. You've spoken to Adam. What's going on with the freshman?
Adam is frustrated, but it takes the big guys a little longer to come along. He's getting good looks. He's getting, his jump hooks are 4 or 5 feet from the basket. They're just not going in enough, and I know he's very frustrated and hangs his head once in a while, but he's doing the other things. He's rebounding. He's playing good defense. Now he got in foul trouble. He got 2 quick fouls the other night in the first 2 minutes and had to sit most of the night, and that's part of the reason why Iowa is better, much better this year, is they're deeper.
Finally, Gary, we'll get you out of here on this one. In a few words, can you sum up how special it is for Coach Lisa Bluter to reach 600 wins?
Unbelievable accomplishment. There's only 40, I think I heard 40 or read 42 coaches in all of college basketball that have ever won 600 games. You think about that. All the great coaches that have come down the pike, men's and women's basketball down through the years, and to be part of that select group is really incredible.
As always, Gary, thanks for joining us. Come Saturday, the Twin Cities have 2 powerhouse wrestling squads in the number 3 and number 4 Gopher and Hawkeye teams in town. With 26 combined national championships between the 2 of them, it's of course expected to be a showdown. Iowa currently leads the series with 69 wins, 32 of which came in Minneapolis, and have 4 wrestlers ranked in the top 5 competing on Saturday. Minnesota's no slouch either, with 9 of their wrestlers ranked in the top 20, 3 ranked in the top 5. The Hawkeyes aren't intimidated by high-ranking opponents, as this year they are 5-1 against top 25 teams. We'll have a breakdown of this explosive meet for you on Sunday's show. Well, that's going to do it for us here in the Daily Iowan TV Sports Studio. Be sure to tune in this Sunday for Courtside, as well as our second installment of the show within a show, the Full Court Press. Guys, back to you at the desk.
A technology update at the UI brings a new degree audit for students. The university site ISIS will now feature a slightly new layout for admissions profiles. To get the new audit, go to Student Records on ISIS and click on Degree Audit Request. Now, any academic changes will be updated on the admissions profile instantly. The new system will not look drastically different, but it should be more efficient for students and advisors like Stephanie Rose.
Ultimately, it was for everyone. I mean, ultimately, it was so that the system was updated. It was so that the system was as accurate as possible, as consistent as possible.
ISIS users should be sure to check if all their transfer credits show up on the new audit, especially if you have studied abroad or taken courses from a different college. And only with Daily Iowan TV can you get a sneak peek at Friday's pages of the Daily Iowan. Read about the results of a vote to ban sleeping at the Iowa City Public Library. Also, find out why a county transit program could soon be discontinued. That's your latest edition of Daily Iowan TV. Check us out anytime online at dailyiowan.com.
Thanks for watching. Have a great night.